Hey guys, welcome back to Tier 1 Performance. We are here with another episode of In and Out Talks. Today's special guest we have the lovely Nicole Price. Nicole, go ahead and talk to us. Tell us where you're from, how you got into softball, and where you're doing now.
I'm from Baytown, Texas. Got into softball just, when I was 6, and they sign you up for every sport possible. And from there, I've just been playing softball as like my number one sport. I always grew up playing volleyball, basketball, all of it. But
when did you decide that I'm just gonna pursue softball for like college and all that?
probably my 7th and 8th grade year.
Oh yeah, you were like, all right, softball's the sport for me. That's where I can go big for it.
Right.
Okay, so like walk us through the recruiting process. What was that like?
Okay, so I remember my 8th grade year, I did this program. It was like scout softball, and they made a video for you and like a profile, and schools would like get on that website. I remember like so vividly like the list of schools, and they could click on your profile and watch your video. And then we had like a tournament that we'd go play in against all these girls. And so that's kind of where it started, and that's where I got my recruiting video. And so then from there I started emailing, but the emailing for me wasn't like good. It wasn't a hit for me.
Okay.
I didn't get any results out of it. Really, I felt like I was just doing it and doing it and doing it, and nothing was happening. I got recruited at a tournament. My coach was watching me warm up. She didn't stay for the game. She watched me warm up and she left.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
She was just already impressed with you.
I guess, I don't know. And so I've always told like younger girls, make sure you warm up the right way. I know it's like all fun, you're with your friends and want to hang out,
absolutely.
and like we've all been there, but you want to take it serious and do the right thing, because that was like a shocker for me, because coaches always tell you that, like, warm up the right way, do this, everyone's watching, but I was like, no. And then when my coach told me that, she was like, she didn't even stay for the game, she just watched you warm up, and then she wanted your contact information. And then from there, I was talking to her, emailing her back and forth. She would call me every now and then we scheduled a visit, and I took a trip up there to Oklahoma.
So this program that you used to set up your profile where coaches can click and watch it, what was it called? Because it kind of sounds like Perfect Game in a sense for baseball players, but what's it called for softball?
It was called Scout Softball.
Scout Softball?
Yeah.
Is it still used today?
No.
Oh, it's not?
No. He stopped a couple years ago, and because he was a college coach, he moved up to college coaching.
Okay.
And so I guess he had to let go of that. I guess it would be illegal.
Probably conflict of
Yeah.
interest. Yeah, I understand.
But I remember the first thing was in San Antonio, and they do your like home to first, home to home, all of that, and then they do videos of you fielding ground balls, and you could pick 2 positions. And so like I did outfield too, but I was never like really an outfielder. And then from there, they kind of picked a select group of girls to go to like a regional. And so we went to Dallas, and this was my 8th grade year, and I remember playing with like juniors in high school, and I was telling my parents, I was like, this is so scary, they're so much older than me.
Were they bigger than you too?
Yeah, because I've always been super small, and I didn't grow until almost my junior year of high school too.
Oh wow. And you were a shortstop through and through?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Playing up with a bunch of
high schoolers, yeah, it was really scary.
So the recruiting process started a lot earlier for you than most other girls, I would say. Was it like super intense? Were you able to play to that level? Was it fun? Was it intimidating?
So like my 8th grade and my freshman year, I played with my age group, and then towards the end of my freshman year, I moved up to an 18U team. And so
Just grown women.
Yeah, exactly. And because it was in the same organization that I was playing for, and they were like, just move up with us, like you'll be fine. And they were trying to do that at the start of my freshman year. I was like, no way. I told my dad, I was like, I don't want to play with them. It's so scary. But, and then from there, I think that kind of gave me an advantage, was playing up, because the college coaches will like circle around the girls in 18U more than 16 and 14, obviously. Like they'll go to the 18U tournaments. And so I think playing up definitely helped me.
So when you went to the recruiting process, is it more like people commit their senior year or their junior year? Or because for boys baseball, I guess I would consider it like if you're really good and you're a stud and you're being pursued by D1 people, you're committing your junior year. Like you're signing your junior year, you had talks your sophomore year, and then like the late bloomers, D2, D3s, maybe some D1s who's like fell through the cracks, and like NAIAs, those guys get the seniors kind of.
Right.
That's from my perspective. Is it the same way for softball?
Yeah, kind of. But the rules, the NCAA rules changed. Like they were constantly changing. Because I remember my freshman year, sophomore year, there was a girl younger than me. She was in 8th grade and she committed to OU.
Like verbal committer?
Like verbal commit to OU in 8th grade. I remember seeing that and I was like, what?
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, but most of the committing process and all of that's around your junior year.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So so you said you saw your coach come in and scout you and like watch you warm up and leave, but for what school, and then were any other schools looking at you at the time as well?
That was for Rogers State, which is a D2 in Oklahoma. And around that time, so I was talking to UT Tyler too. I had been emailing them,
Okay.
and one of the girls was committed there from my team. And so, but she ended up not playing there. But around that time, I can't really remember because it was so long ago, honestly. Like
You're still playing.
yeah, I'm like still playing, but it was kind of like they email you back or they text you and then they kind of like fall off, or then they come back and then you have to go to a camp. You
It's
know,
never
it was
constant
like
communication.
yeah,
They're
it
on
was,
their dime.
and it was kind of like you know.
Was it nerve-wracking?
Yeah,
the whole
very.
process, the most stressful thing you've ever been through?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Because for me, my recruiting process was the most stressful. I've never had a harder time playing baseball while having fun. I was also having fun, but like trying to make sure that I had a future in the sport was the
Right.
most stressful thing. Because like you go to these tournaments, nothing's guaranteed, and like you're just gonna play to your senior year if you don't get an injury.
Right.
And then like you're trying to, you're like, I want to commit to somebody. I want somebody to look at me. Like I'm worth this. I think I can do this. Like I'm playing well, but no one's looking at me. It's a whole different cluster. And I feel like hundreds of thousands of kids go through that a day, and it's the most and it can make or break people. Like it's a
Definitely.
mental mind game, and I think that goes across all sports. But going back into it, you went through COVID your junior year. How did that affect you playing, your recruiting trips, your being just prospected and scouted out? How did that affect you?
So that was March. We were in the middle of our high school season and we were kind of getting through that, and then it just stopped. And I remember like travel ball tournaments and stuff just being canceled, like our nationals and all of that. And that's like the hot time, in the summer.
Okay, yeah.
And but luckily I was already in contact with Rogers State, and so I went up there for my visit, and the day that their season got canceled, I was there for my visit. They were playing, and it was a doubleheader, and I remember after the first game, they all came together and they were like in a huddle, and all of these girls were crying, and I was just on my visit. I was a junior in high school, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And yeah, me and my dad were kind of just looking at each other, and then throughout the second game, we kind of heard like in the stands what happened.
This is the last game.
Right. And then after the game, the coach came and told me, and she was like, our season just got canceled because of COVID. And then from there, we were just quarantined, and then.
Yeah, it is crazy. So so your junior year ended, and then you picked back up your senior year, but you were still committed to Rogers.
Yes.
And then you ended up going there.
Yes.
So how did you like playing up there at Rogers for 2 years?
Yes, for 2 years. I played there for 2 years. My freshman year, we won the World Series, and that was a crazy experience. That was awesome.
You were the starting shortstop as well.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. And I would just say, like, do your research on your schools. I thought that I would have so much fun being so far from home, and honestly, my freshman year, it was great. I think because it was like something new, and I was just having so much fun.
Big play again, all that other stuff, yeah.
And then throughout my sophomore year, I was kind of like, man, like everyone gets to go home, and I'm just sitting in this dorm room that's like 4x4.
Yeah. Like a prison cell.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
And luckily, my roommates would let me go with them to their families' houses and stuff, but it just wasn't the same holidays, and like not being able to go to my brother's tournaments or like stuff like that.
Yeah, I can honestly relate. So when I went up to the University of Rhode Island, my freshman year it was like oodles of fun, but think I went home maybe for 2 weeks. So I got 2 weeks. I got 2 weeks in on Christmas, and I got 2 weeks in the summer because you still play summer ball.
Right.
And I remember like Thanksgiving, my dad flew me home for 2 days, and I had to fly back. And then he was like, "Yeah, we're not doing that again." Like, and I think my parents only saw me play like when we went down south to play Florida, and they came up once. But like it was the longest time I went without my family. And I mean, like I guess it's cool your freshman year, but my sophomore year, I was like for Easter, I'm going into some my teammates' family's house, and like
Right.
they're really nice and welcoming, and they're my brothers till the day I die. But it's not the same as being home with your family.
Exactly.
And then like I'm in my dorm, everyone's gone home chilling for the weekend. Like, oh yeah, I'm going home. And I'm like, hey, what are we doing? And like I'm going back to my parents. You want to come? I'm like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to intrude.
You feel
Like,
bad.
you're going home, and then I'm sitting in my dorm on my phone. Maybe I'll go work out, but like the whole campus is dead. There's nothing to do. And I'm like, oh man, it's kind of brutal. You're away
Yeah.
from friends, you're away from family. You're like you said, I have a younger brother too. He was going out to tournaments and getting recruited. And I love watching him play and stuff. And just being back home and like the sanctity of your hometown is like really nice. But yeah, it's definitely a mental struggle, and it can definitely wear on you, and especially if your whole life's revolved around school and academics, and your main support group isn't there.
Exactly.
It is freaking brutal. So
Yeah.
you decided to enter the transfer portal after that. And those were pretty much your main factors.
Yeah, definitely like the family support and being closer to my family. I specifically remember when we won the regional tournament, and all the family like in the stands, they got to come onto the field with everyone, and I remember I just like looked up to the broadcaster thing, and I was like, this is so sad. Like,
oh, I know.
none of my family was
here,
able to, yeah.
able to make it.
Luckily, they were able to come to the World Series and be there for that. But
Yeah, because same thing with us when we won our conference tournament. Like, I'm just looking at the camera and be like, I hope they're watching. I know they're probably working right now, but I hope they're watching.
Right.
At least. And, and I always have to like call my dad after the game, or call my mom, and they'd be like, oh wow, you won. Like, we saw you 1, 2, 3. And like, this is back. I played back when now almost pretty much every conference has like video video cameras going on every game, but like back then we still had like Game Pass. So like it's not like they
You
could
had to
see me
watch
play.
it, stuff
Like I
like
could
that.
go 3 for 4, and they're like, so I get 3 singles, but I was like, well, 1 might have been an error, but 2 were actually absolute shots, and like
Yeah.
I tell them to re-describe the game versus them seeing it, and like having the highlights of Twitter and all that. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely quite a big difference to be like all your parents are there and their whole crowd celebrating, and you're like, oh, they're watching from back home. Like,
Yeah.
this is really cool. So you entering the transfer portal, can you walk us through that process? What was that like? What was your mental state? Were you nervous? Was it like was it long? Was it short? Was it like did you have to reach out, or were people just constantly bothering you?
So, I knew around January, so after Christmas break, and I was like so sad. I didn't want to leave, right? And I had to go back up to school. And the year before that, I was so excited because I was like, season's here, like let's go, you know? And I was like, I wish I was closer to home. Like, I had fun and everything. I just wish I was closer to home. And like that definitely did something to me, like when I was playing and everything. And so when I decided to transfer, that was really, really, really stressful because nothing's guaranteed. You don't know who's going to pick you up, who's going to talk to you. You don't know, like, if you're going to move down, you're going to move up. Like, you don't know anything.
Right.
And I was talking to my parents constantly. I was like, I don't even know, like, should I do this? Should I even continue to play? Like, it was just so stressful. And so then in my exit meeting, I told my coach. I gave her the reasons why. They put me in the transfer portal.
Your coach did it for you, or you had to do it yourself?
They have to do it. So you let your coach know, and it's like a athletic coordinator or something like that. Not the director, but there's someone else that does it.
At your school?
Yes,
Okay.
that does it for you, and they have to like fill out all this paperwork, and then you have to go on NCAA and like do your own paperwork and.
Okay, so you have to fill out paperwork as well. but
Yes.
Your school has to release you in
Yeah.
a sense and approve that you're leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Mhm.
And so, how long were you in the portal for?
So I remember, so like I think it was 14 minutes after I got into it, UT Tyler reached out.
Oh wow.
And
Hot commodity.
so we played them in the semifinals for the World Series. And I was like, no way, like this is kind of crazy. And they were in the World Series this past season again.
Oh, wow.
And so I was honestly very shocked that they reached out because I was like, they're in the World Series right now.
So you could most likely play your old team.
Yeah. Oh, we are.
Are y'all in the same conference?
No.
Okay.
But, well, he already, like, my coach already told me that we're going to play them this year, and I'm like, nice. But,
seeing your old teammates with your new teammates.
Yeah, I mean, I miss those girls, so.
Yeah, it happens for sure.
Yeah, but, and then a lot of the schools that were in our region, no schools from my conference reached out, but.
I don't know if it's legal for them to do that.
They can, but your coach has to, like,
approve it,
and if they do, I think you have to sit out a year
Correct.
or something like
Yes.
that, right? And so schools in our region did, and then a lot of schools down in Texas, and then schools in Florida. I remember like schools in Florida, and I'm like, man, that would be fun, but that's too far.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So what made you choose UT Tyler?
Definitely because it's a top school, very good. They've always been ranked nationally. Clearly, my degree plan, like I made sure that I would graduate on time still.
Right. What's your major?
I'm doing pre-physical therapy, so I'm in kinesiology right now.
Okay, PT,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the school's super nice, and I still wasn't sure. I mean, I was like, I'll go on a visit and see how that goes. And I liked the coaching staff. I liked everything about the school that they showed me. The town was nice, and of course, 3 hours from home.
Yeah, and you went on a visit, so your family's going to be able to drive up to you constantly and all that, see you play and all that, which would be really nice. Are your conference games also more local too, so they can go catch away games?
Some of them are, but it's like the Lone Star Conference, which is like all over Texas. So like we go
West, East, North, all over.
So some of them are super far, but some of them are like San Antonio, Austin. Yeah.
Which is not that.
Yeah.
Conveniently. All right. So you chose UT Tyler. You went through all the works. How long did it from the day you entered the portal to the day you signed with? I'm assuming you had to sign with UT Tyler. How long did that take for you?
I would say about a couple weeks because I kind of waited a little while to get back to them. I still wasn't sure about what I wanted to do or anything, but as soon as I told them I'm on board, let's get this rolling, like the assistant coach got me going and I got enrolled, and then we started the paperwork and all that good stuff to get through. Yeah.
Hopefully you can make a great impact and be the new starting shortstop for UT Tyler. So going in now that you are established two-time collegiate athlete, going from one D2 school to another D2 school, top programs, I would say, like what kind of advice do you have for upcoming girls that want to make it to the collegiate level for high school?
I would say prepare yourself. It is hard.
Yeah.
Like high school, you have practice every day, and school all day, but I promise it is not the same. Like I thought that having practice every day was going to be the same as high school. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm used to this. Like we have practice every day. No,
Different caliber.
Yeah, completely different. I would also say set goals. You can have your big personal goals, like your top schools you want to go to, and then you want to have your realistic goals. Like I would say for myself in high school, I would have my dream schools. You know, I want to go to this school, I want to go to this school. But then I also had realistic goals for myself. Like make sure you're being realistic with yourself and, just doing what you need to do.
Okay. From a skill set standpoint, though, what do you think separated you from your competition, or what do you think made you stand out? Like, is it like, hey, I was always good at hitting, and I worked on like just making contact with the ball and driving through it, or like I worked on my arm strength? Like, what kind of things set you apart from, you think, other high schoolers that didn't get to play?
Mine was always my defense because I'm a slapper. So most slappers just tap the ball, run, tap the ball, run, bunt the ball, run. Take off. Which that's another thing. Being fast, being quick, and everything. But mine would definitely be my defense and my footwork. I've always been complimented on my footwork, and I would have to give thanks to my dad for that, for working with me, on that. That was always one of the main things he worked with me, or my footwork, and that's always been something that set me apart from others.
Nice. Okay, that's great. That's great advice. So what would you say for like high schoolers, like if you want to, like what is the minimal level of play, I guess, that they have to be at? Like, I guess if you're a high school softball player, like hey, in high school you probably have to bat over 250, or you can't be making like X amount of errors? Like, what do you think is the standard of college play?
So for high school, I would say you should be batting over 350 in softball, you know, and errors as an infielder below 10, I would say.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's definitely, I guess, tough for some people.
I guess, yeah, but like my district in high school, we were not one of the top schools. We were like our school. I was one of the only girls that knew how to play softball.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and some of the other infielders. But other than that, we had like the girls that were like, "Oh, I've never played softball before. Where does this glove go? Like, which hand does it go on?" And we were like,
but heart attack.
Like, you still have to hold your own ground when you do play in districts like that, because we played like Friendswood and Barbers Hill, Santa Fe, schools like that, and all of those girls are like at top D1s, Baylor, and all that good stuff. And actually talking with my high school coach the other day, she was telling me about this girl that like thought that she was doing something right and arguing with the coach, and the coach was like, no, like, you need to be doing this, you need to bat over 400 to even be considered to be in the district, like all district or whatever, you know, the teams. And the girl was like, no, and arguing with her, you know, but you just have to compete for yourself at that point if you're not at a top school or.
Okay. No, I think that's great advice, because like the truth is, like, this sport, softball or baseball or any sport, when it comes to the collegiate or professional athlete, it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's completely cutthroat. It's black or white. It's like, oh, you might hustle hard all the time. You might put your heart into the field, but at the end of the day, you bat 250.
Right.
We can't put you in the lineup for our team. Or, you know, at the end of the day, we're like, this person's better than you. Sure, they may not try hard, they may not love it as much as you, or, you know, they may not care, or maybe they make an error every now and then, but at the end of the day, they are better than you. So it's very cutthroat. And I think when I went to college, I realized how much of a business it was.
Oh, yeah.
When I went in, I think I had, my incoming class had like 13 or 14 freshmen, which is a lot. Because, you know, I walk in on the first day into the locker room, and there's 13, 14 other guys, and I'm like, I'm assuming like these guys must be on the team, but they're all like, no, we're all freshmen. And I'm like, all my competition. Right.
I had a similar situation. Yeah. We had, I think it was 9 or 10 girls.
Which is a lot. That's a whole team.
Yeah.
That's a whole team, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and your coach comes in and they tell you at the end of the day, like, realistically, not all of you are going to be here. Not all of you are going to be on the roster. Some of y'all may redshirt. And he goes, but I guarantee you, by like a year from now, half of y'all will be gone, if not more. And you're just like, man, I got to be the person that stays. I got to grind it out. And I remember it was like, I love those guys and we're bonding, we're having fun, but like when we got to the field, it felt like we were clawing our way for like a starting spot. Like, it was a battle day in, day out. Like, I literally felt like it was sudden death. Like, and even though there's no one in the stands and it's a bunch of coaches yelling at me and there's a bunch of teammates and it just balls me in, I'm like, I always felt like on edge and like super, well, not anxious, but like I had like adrenaline pumping through me the whole time. Yeah. I was like, I swear to God, if I miss this catch and a rep in practice,
I'm done.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And you know what's funny is I had the most embarrassing first day of practice in my collegiate career. I literally wanted to, I wanted to call my parents and be like, I think I'm coming home, like super early. Like the first day of practice, it was led by, our coaches weren't allowed to coach yet, because I think there's like a certain time period that they have that they can meet with the team. So it was led by the the previous year's captains, and we were doing like base running and played a game of 2-pitch, which is like a classic like little fast scrimmage game. And I remember like when we were doing base running, we had like, it was a turf field and we had those rubber plates and stuff, and I didn't hit the inside corner of it, so I hit the top of it, so I caught no turf, and my foot just ran up underneath me, and all the coaches are like in the dugout watching, and I just ate shit, and I just rolled, and I had beads all over my face, and I got up and I was like, and they're all like laughing at me, and I'm like if I could cut myself off. It's like, if I could do that stuff. But yeah, so moving on to our next question, what would be your advice for other girls going into the sport?
I would say stay positive, keep a fresh mind, don't downplay yourself or don't talk negatively to yourself. You will be okay. Like, you put numbers up or you put your name out there and schools will pick you up. There's so many schools in the U.S. You'll find a way, and
So you said I like how you said keep a positive attitude. How was your mental state? Not only through your freshman year and sophomore year of college, especially when you were doubting even wanting to stay at the school, but even through the whole process from recruiting and like how do you stay positive? Like a lot of people do struggle with like getting down all the time, like you have a bad game or maybe they don't get the coach, no one calling them for recruiting. Like how do you keep your mental state so tough? Because you're traveling a lot, you're going to school, dealing with family members, not being around, you're alone at the same time.
So for that, like traveling wise and school, balancing everything, I would say find one small thing every day that is positive. Like there will be one small thing, at least one, that will be good. And for the transfer portal wise, I would say I always told myself if it's meant to be, it'll happen. Like, Yeah. And I told myself that in high school too with the emailing because I wasn't seeing anything with the emailing. And I was like, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. Like, and then I got seen at a tournament.
So it happens.
Yeah.
Like no one really knows when it happens exactly. No, I believe that to the fullest. And then for when it comes to like dealing with playing and having like a rough game or like having like a couple bad ABs or a couple bad games, how do you bounce back if you even have bad games?
Oh my goodness. I would say you still have you have a full week or, a couple days of practice and things like that to recover. You're fine. You're doing good. You're there for a reason. You're doing that for a reason. You're still playing at this level. You just have to be positive to yourself. You're just like, I'm okay. I'll have another chance. I'll be fine.
Because it is a game of failure. Baseball, softball, very similar. You are going to get out. You are going to make an error. Like going 1 for 3 is crazy good.
Yeah.
Going 2 for 4, you're probably in the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? But like a lot of people, like no one's acceptable to no one's an exception to the rule, right? Like I could go 3 for 3 one day, and I came back and you go 0 for 3 the next day. Like I remember my first collegiate hat trick, and for those of y'all that don't know, a hat trick is when you strike out 3 times in a row, and it's completely humiliating. And you question yourself if you're even good at the game.
Right.
Yeah. It was my birthday that day in spring, and we were playing like 20-degree weather, like it was snow cold, and I was like I can't believe it. I was like, no way, coach is gonna make us play. He made us play. And we had to bring out these old World War II generators to stay warm, and it like singed my gloves and stuff. And I remember there's snow blowing in my face, and I literally struck out 3 times. They told me to bunt, which like bunting should be easy. Just put it down, like. And like I couldn't even like foul ball. I completely missed it again. I'm like struck out, and I was like, I get to center field. I didn't make a single play because no ball was hit to me. So I was a complete liability the whole game. And I remember I'm in the outfield with my arms crossed, like freezing, and I'm just like, I think this is the worst game I've ever played in my life. And and we only won like 1-0, and we scored that 1 run in the first inning. And like, I was just like, this is the worst game ever. Like, how do I bounce? I was like, this is the worst birthday ever. I was like, let's not even discuss baseball. I am actually feeling terrible, And my teammates picked me up, and I was just like, my dad goes like, it's bound to happen, and it is because it wasn't like my first hat trick. I ended up doing it again like next season. Like it happens. How you bounce back is really what people are looking at. My coach kind of taught me. He was like, there are going to be times when you fail consecutively in a row. It's like how you bounce back and how do you stop the bleeding and how you keep going. And for me, once I was able to put that mindset and be like, you got to have a quick memory. Like, yeah, you struck out, learn from it, analyze it. But when you come back to your next AB, it's like it didn't even happen, right? You learned from your mistakes and you kept going. And I think some people have a hard time separating the two. And that really made me a better hitter because I went from having like 47 strikeouts a season, which is atrocious, to like having like 22, which is like way better. And then I guess, so we all know that at some point softball's going to come to an end. What do you plan on doing in the future? Or are you just trying to play for as long as you can, which is very admirable in and of itself?
I plan to just physical therapy and see where that takes me.
Would you want to be a physical therapist, like for, I guess, like a collegiate sport, or like maybe for a university, or would you want to have your own practice? Or you don't know yet?
I don't think I want to. I think I will take a break from like the sports side of things. I think I want to focus on like the like rehab side.
Okay, that'll be excellent. Nicole, we appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can have you on again after you've Had a great season, and we wish you good luck at UT Tech.
Thanks.